We welcome you one more time to the Semaj MindSpa Radio. Hmm? MindSpa, where mind, spirit, and science meet. Right here on Fit FM 96.7 on the FM band and fitfmja.com. Want to thank our founding sponsor for the Semaj MindSpa Network, JN, Jamaica National Group. We help you find a way. That's their tagline, and we certainly do the same thing. Good evening. I'm Dr. Leahcim Semaj, and you're inside the Semaj MindSpa, as I say, where mind, spirit, and science meet. The ideas in the MindSpa network are like pebbles being dropped in the lake of life. These pebbles create ripples that travel further than anyone could expect, reshaping minds, moments, and entire ways of seeing the world. Small at first, but capable of sending waves of clarity across the whole surface of your thinking and everyone you come in touch with. Each one triggering a chain reaction of insight, awakening, and unstoppable personal evolution. Disturbing stagnant views. You know that is critical. Huh? Breaking old patterns, setting new currents in motion. Simple acts that create profound shifts in who you are and who you can become. Good evening one more time. Here at the Mind Spa, we create a space for calm, clarity, and better thinking. We greet our immediate Trelawney family. Then we extend our greeting along the north coast of Jamaica, all around to western Jamaica. All of you tuned in on Fit FM 96.7 on the FM band. We greet the world who are tuned into us by www.fitfmja.com. We're hailing up Wayne Hall Network out of Atlanta, USA, and Caribbean Vibes Radio Network out of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. More coming into us daily. Our show today, very simple topic. How to keep your balance during times of uncertainty. We talk about times of uncertainty, certainly are now. So, where are we? Where are we? We want to discuss something many people are feeling, but few are openly admitting. The world feels uncertain. Gas prices rising. Wars and rumors of wars dominate the news. The cost of living keeps climbing. Of course, salary doesn't move. Businesses are struggling. The middle class, that fragile group, is under serious pressure. Many people living on minimum wage are emotionally, along with financially, exhausted. And perhaps the greatest challenge is this. People are trying to remain psychologically balanced while living inside an emotionally unstable world. So, that's our job tonight. Our job is to explore how uncertainty affects the mind and body, why fear spreads so quickly, how families absorb stress, how business owners silently suffer, and most importantly, how to keep your balance while the world shakes around you. This is not merely a discussion about economics, not at all. It's a discussion about emotional survival, what you can do. So, I want to start by answering this first question. Why people feel so emotionally tired, drained? Hmm? Now, human beings were never designed for non-stop crisis exposure that we're going through now. Today, people wake up to it. Huh? You go to bed with it. You live with it all day, non-stop. Bad news, economic fear, political conflict, violence, inflation, layoffs, and social media anxiety. And that's just before breakfast, huh? The nervous system remains constantly activated. Hmm? The examples are numerous. Take, for example, a taxi driver fills his tank in the morning. Gas price has gone up again. Now he must decide, do I raise fares and lose customers? Huh? Do I keep the fares low and lose profit? Another day on the road, another day of conflict, anxiety. Ultimately, he reaches home frustrated. His wife asks him one simple question: how was your day? He snaps at her. The real problem was never the question, it was the accumulated stress, one over the other, one after the other during the day. Lesson from this: many people are not angry. What they are? Overloaded, system overload. And we have this expression, pressure bust pipe. Hmm? Another expression we have: anyway it maga, it pop. So that's going on now. How about another example? A mother goes shopping with the same amount of money she used last year, last month, even last week this time. Suddenly, fewer items fit in the cart. Food prices appear to have doubled. But children need lunch and lunch money. She begins to experience a quiet panic. At night, she cannot sleep. Not because of weakness, but because of uncertainty attacks the survival system. Financial pressure eventually becomes emotional pressure. We pick up on it at so many different levels. Now, what is this building? We're building something called the psychology of fear. The psychology of fear. Now, how does this work? Well, fear spreads faster than facts. Simple as that. Fear spreads faster than facts. One fearful person in a household can destabilize everyone. One anxious manager can destabilize the entire workplace. One emotionally reactive leader can destabilize an entire country. That's how bad it is. Give you an example in a workplace setting. The boss calls a meeting. Nobody knows why. Just the word go out. The boss wants to see everybody see it. No, huh? Nobody knows why. Immediately, rumors start spreading. Lord, people all get laid off. Me no say that I come next. Hmm? Me no say people all lose them job. Hmm? Rumor begins. Company in trouble. Hmm? Rumor spreads. I wonder who next. Productivity drops before any decision is made, before any information goes out, because of what is happening at the survival level. Why is this? Uncertainty creates imagined catastrophe, and the mind can be so creative. The human mind hates uncertainty more than bad news. Bad news at least gives direction. Uncertainty creates emotional paralysis. So what happens? Think about how many times, You are in a situation like this. How many things are you worrying about right now that have not actually happened? Think about it. You heard something said, you read about something, and you start to worry same time. What are you worrying about now? What are you worried about now? Let's take another example of this elderly parent. An elderly father is at home all day and he watches news on television all day. So, what does he consume on the news? War, hmm? Crime, fear of recession, political fighting. By evening comes, him tired. He feels hopeless. Yet nothing directly has happened to him at all during the course of the day. Not one thing. But his nervous system has absorbed the emotional atmosphere. So what happens? Your mind becomes the environment. And if you're repeatedly exposed to it, it draws it in. It consumes you. What you metabolize transforms you. Another example, middle class person struggling. This may be the most psychologically pressured group in society right now. The middle class is squeezed. Bills rising. But guess what? Salaries have remained stagnant. Children still have needs and are very dependent on you. But you also have aging parents who need support. I tell people, that not only in the middle class, but when you think of what we call now Gen X, persons in their 30, 35 to about 50, 55, they're in a unique situation. Many of them have children in college. Some probably even some still in high school. But you're supporting children who are in need of you to finish their education. But at the same time, you are supporting parents who are in or past retirement age. Many societies like Jamaica, a small fraction of people have any such thing as a pension income. In Jamaica, it's about 20% of persons have a pension. The others are dependent on savings, if they had any, children, relatives. So middle class parents find themselves in this category. Many are just trying to maintain appearance. It look good on the outside, but it's tough. Not a Jamaican expression, rain or fall, but dirty tough. Food a cook, but pot not enough. It's rough. Let's take the professional couple. Two professionals earning a decent salary, but the mortgage is there and there's talk about increased percentage. The little house you own, or should I say the bank own and you get to live in there, the insurance rate is going up. The groceries that you must buy are increasing. At the beginning of every calendar year and school year, school fees increase. On the outside, they seem successful, but inside, many sleepless nights. At nights, they begin to argue much more frequently. Not because love has disappeared, but because stress has entered the marriage. It's rough. So we're talking about a whole host of economic changes impacting our relationships, and we snap at each other. Many couples aren't fighting each other, you know. What they're fighting is the fear that consumes them. How about one more example? The university graduate. You sacrifice your studies, your parents tried hard with you, and you finally made it to the university and you've earned a degree. Young graduate getting a degree, you expect a certain level of stability. But the market that you're now entering is a very uncertain job market. So, gig work, contract work is the easiest thing that you probably can try. Of course, this comes with no stability, oftentimes no benefits, no health care, clearly, definitely no pension plan, no possibility of seniority, but at the same time, rent is rising. Global instability. Many such university graduates, especially in places like Jamaica and other countries, that the BPO, the business processing and outsourcing sector, a lot of jobs outsourced from North America. Jamaica represents a near shore option. So a lot of these jobs are outsourced here. But then these jobs could easily move tomorrow to some other place that offers cheaper work. So these recent graduates start to ask some questions of themselves. Did I fail? Is this my study so hard for? No, no, no. You did not fail. The environment changed. Do not measure your worth solely on the instability of the times. The examples I've given so far, you can multiply them many, many times. If you are not in this, you're one of the very, very lucky one. You also know many of your friends, associates, companions, relatives who are in similar conditions. Hmm? Now, there are also persons who have been fortunate to start a little business. Now, running a business during uncertain times, is serious. But let me make sure you understand, business is not a panacea. The what we know about business, 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And fail oftentimes is not necessarily fatal. It means that you have to find another way of doing it, another way of trying. But running a business, especially understanding that within the first 5 years, 90% of businesses are going to fail. So that each quote unquote failure you have, the question is, how do you pivot? What do you try differently? How do you bounce back? Entrepreneurs carry emotional burden many people never see. You see the glamour, you see the glory, but you don't know their story. I watched a podcast recently where, interestingly, this person accused a very prominent podcast, and I'll mention the name so you can make your own decision about it. Diary of a CEO. He interviews a lot of successful people who tell their story. Some of them world famous successful people. But one point made by this individual in this podcast, that this type of show does a disservice to people, because the real story is not what the guests told the host on the podcast. What they really got were the highlights reel. You, as an entrepreneur, You have to find your own salvation. No two models are the same. In retrospect, when you look back and tell the story, it's going to be a smooth story. You're going to overlook or just gloss over some of the pivots and the many times you have to restart. But that's the reality. That's the reality about trying to run a business, and especially in uncertain times. Employees worry about salaries, but business owner worry about survival itself. I tell people, that one of the most critical element about running a business, and I've been in this situation many a times. There are many times that if you didn't have credit card, you couldn't put gas in your tank after you pay your staff. And for many months, you can't pay yourself. Many, many, many months, you can't pay yourself because you want to make sure people get paid, the utilities are paid, the suppliers are paid, but you don't. And a lot of time people, you start a business because you want to make money. That's the dream of everyone who starts a business. I recently saw a business tag as a bumper sticker. It says that this company is really a non-profit company, but it didn't start out that way. That was not the objective. That was not the intention. What about somebody running a little restaurant? You own a restaurant. Rough times. Food costs rise. Electricity rise. Gas price rise. But customers have less to spend. So you're supplying less lunches or less dinners. Yet staff still expect salaries on Friday. Why not? And I guess that's not unreasonable. They're not investors. Huh? The owner smiles publicly while privately wondering, how long? How long can I continue? Leadership can become a lonely, very lonely place during difficult period. Many leaders are emotionally exhausted, but they cannot show weakness. They smile, they put on a good face, but it is lonely. It is rough at these times. How about the small shop owner? Corner shop, huh? Country shop. This woman runs a little shop. Sales are slow. But customers now buy one tin instead of two. One loaf instead of three. In fact, some people even start selling half loaf now. Because you hear them say, half a loaf is better than no bread. Huh? She noticed every small change. Survival depends on patterns. So she has to notice. Yet every morning, she still opens the doors. That is resilience. That is resilience. Sometimes courage is simply reopening the business tomorrow morning. That's all, because you reopen it and you hope that tomorrow will be a better day than today was. You hope. Now, with all of that, I'm sure you fit somewhere in there. If not, you're just one of the few people. You fit somewhere in there. Now, what do we do now? How do you keep your balance? Whichever one you are, whichever of the many options that we have looked at. How do you keep your balance during these times? Now we move from diagnosis to solutions. It's time for solutions now to find a way to deal with this now. All right. Strategy one. reduce the emotional flooding, the flood of emotions that you're contended with during these times. Do not consume endless negativity. I repeat, do not consume endless negativity. Stay informed, but do not emotionally drown in the news cycle. There's some people who literally keep the radio on right throughout the day. Some keep the TV on and sometimes on a news station in the background right throughout the day. This is not the time to do that. There's one listener I'm aware of who stopped watching late night news before bed. Because if the last thing you watch news before you go to bed, no, you're asking for a nightmare. Within 2 weeks after stop watching evening news before going to bed, sleep improved. Within 2 weeks, anxiety was reduced. Within 2 weeks, patience returned. They found themselves now able to interact. Because when you consume, look, there's a notion in news that if it bleeds, it leads. And unfortunate, this is my observation too, that many, by definition, what people call news, it must be about something bad. And they find the worst of us to impose it on all of us as if that's all we were. So that's why we need Semaj MindSpa as the antidote. So I was trying to show you now in this program, how do you get through these times? How do you get through these times? So one, we suggest reduce news consumption, especially at nights before you go to bed. You don't want that in your head. That's strategy one. Number two, you want to build some daily stability rituals. During uncertain times, you need to put some anchors in your life, some things that you create, you are responsible for, and they give you positive, optimistic feedback. What are these things? One, wake consistently. Whether you use a clock, for me it's automatic. Somewhere between 3:30 and 4:30, I wake. I'm an early riser. I feel that I do that, I get a jump on the rest of the world. My favorite time of day is before the dawn. And oftentimes I'm at my desk, at my computer, working well into that time. And usually at that time, I step outside and just watch the sunrise. It was the most rejuvenating and invigorating thing. So wake consistently. And you may not be like me, but I'm suggesting you that first rising with the sun or before the sun gives you an edge. The second component, exercise. I can't overemphasize how important this is. Whatever stage of life you are. And in fact, the older you are, the more important you need that exercise. There's one that I recommend to most of my associates who have not caught exercise bug the way that I have and the extent to which I live it. When you get out of bed, within a few minutes, you want to make sure that the first thing you do when you get out of bed is drink at least one glass of water. You slowly sip it as part of your morning ritual. You slowly sip it. And that exercise, you want an initial exercise. It can be done on the side of the bed, if that's convenient, or in another room, on a chair, or I built a gym at home during COVID so that I would have all the facilities I need. And this exercise is very simple. You sit on a chair. Towards the edge of the chair, you sit quietly. You bend over and touch the ground. Then you slowly raise back up and you raise your arms all the way up over your head and stand. One smooth motion up, 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 stand. And then lower your body slowly back into the seated position, arms coming right back down, touching the floor. And you do so 10 times. Then you rest, take a few deep breaths out, in, and another set. I recommend, if you're just starting, any exercise program you're starting, you check with your primary care physician first and make sure you have no underlying conditions that need. But once you get your clearance, this is the minimum that you need to get started with. It's a full body exercise. Arms, shoulders, chest, back, huh? Legs, thigh, calf. And should be part of that minimum morning ritual of exercise. Minimum. We can come back on that a little bit some more. So that's two things we talk about. One, waking consistently, preferably with or before the sun. If you're one of those who can't, work with what you do. Minimum exercise, if it's just sitting and standing at the side of a chair, as I described. The third component towards establishing that balance, you want to make sure that you begin the day with prayer or meditation. I tell folks, that, prayer is a conversation between yourself and the divine. Now, meditation is a process by which you shut your mouth, you listen to information from the divine. There's the whole process that, folks, on any given day, it is estimated at least 70,000 thoughts pass through your mind on any given day. Plus or minus, but at least 70,000 thoughts. But hear what? The majority of those thoughts are the same one that passed through your mind the day before. But in meditation, you still the mind and you allow the gap between the thoughts to increase so that new and other and fresh thoughts can enter your mind. Prayer, you consciously communicate your thoughts and your ideas and your needs and your expression to the divine. But you see, I know the concept of the divine clearly is omniscient and omnipresent. So the divine know what your needs well before you even express them. But in the process of the prayer and meditation, you're centering yourself. For me, the most important element of this part of the consistency is the stillness that you allow yourself fresh insight, fresh new thoughts. The other component, so we have issued 3 so far: the consistent waking, the exercise, the prayer or meditation. But then the next part is a walk. It doesn't have to be a marathon. If it's just a walk around your apartment, around your house, if it's just a situation where you put on your walking shoes and you walk to the gate and back, and or you go through the gate and you walk around the block, walking is one of the most powerful tools, because there's such a thing as a walking meditation, because in that stillness, your thoughts come to you as you walk. And We can talk about more of that another time. I talk about walking zone 2. You're walking at about 75% of your maximum heart rate. How do you know this? You can have a conversation and you're not out of breath. If you have a device, a wearable device on your hand or body that can tell you if you're in zone 2, it is the most important zone to walk in because you strengthen the mitochondria in your cells. Hmm? Waking consistently, exercising, prayer, meditation, a walk. Then you put this all together, you maintain your routines. This is almost a non-negotiable part of your day. So your day starts with the center. And I make sure that I create rituals for myself for the beginning of the day to get me energized and equipped. But then I also have equivalent rituals at the end of the day. The first thing for me, literally, is usually a shower because I tell myself I'm washing off all the crosses from the day. Just wash them off for me. Hmm? And for me, the last meal should be at least minimum 2 hours, if not 3 hours, before you go to bed. Because you cannot go to bed with undigested food. You need minimum 2 hours. So you can use that time when you have your last meal and then when you have your shower because your body's starting to tone down and tune down towards the end. Because, and similar kind of, I don't have an exercise component. For me, exercise energizes me. So I wouldn't put an exercise component at the end for me. But it does have a prayer, a meditation component. And you may even include now reading of some spiritual, some consciousness raising material, yeah, quietly. So you start to still the mind and still the thoughts. Hmm? You may even now identify what are some of the achievements that you are earmarking for the next day. So between these rituals of starting and ending, you stabilize your day. Routines serve to stabilize the nervous system. We give an example. For businessman, he began walking every morning instead of immediately checking his phone. Hmm? Gets up, glass of water, and then go for a short walk. What did he recognize by this? He said, my blood pressure improved before my finances did. Because, if your blood pressure is keep going up, 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 clearly your finances not going to go up at the same rate. But if you can stabilize that just by walking, all right? Strategy number 3. Again, how do you cope in these uncertain times? Number 3, strengthen your relationships. Hard time require emotional communities. So what is required of you? Talk honestly. Talk honestly with the people in your immediate sphere. I like to tell people, you pick up your phone and you take a look at your WhatsApp group and the persons on your WhatsApp list, the first 5 persons you look at. Similarly, are these the people that you contact with most frequently? Who are these people? Clearly, they're having a direct impact on your life. Is it warranted? You need to make sure that you are building a group of persons that are helping you to build. Talk honestly. In addition to this, check on people. Check on people. Some people just trying to wait for people to check on them. You check on people. I have a thing. Once somebody, as I say, run across my mind, I call them. I find sometimes, just sending them a WhatsApp and so on is not enough. Even though we know that telephones sometimes are a little intrusive. So what I do, I send a WhatsApp, say, what's a good time for me to call you? Is it a good time to call now? And at least you're started the process. And then if they say, yeah, call me now, or in about an hour time, you call and say, listen, nothing critical, but I thought about you this morning, and it's a while to have. How you doing? You good? How things with you? How the family? How the children and thing? Check on people. Hmm? The third issue about strengthening relationship: laugh, laugh whenever possible. Laugh. I'm gonna say laugh after people, or laugh at people. Find a reason to laugh. I associate with mind practice called laughter yoga. You just bust out a laugh. Just look in the mirror and laugh. It's energizing. Next component, you want to make sure that you do not allow yourself to be in isolated situations, because isolation magnifies fears. So that's why you need to have a community, persons that you can check with. They're two of my associates. I am their go-to person to check, and they send me a thing, and there's the expression we use. Anything can go so. It can be something you see in the newspaper, or an article you see, or something you hear, and you say, anything can go so. So that sometimes I am the one who will clarify for others. But sometimes I need someone to clarify for me. So I would send the information and the question to somebody who is in a position to clarify. So strengthen the relationships around you. You add to the strength and you get strength from it. Give another example. A family started a very simple tradition. What was it? No phones during dinner. Hmm? Don't bring your phone to the dining table. Don't bring your phones. What was the results? Stress levels dropped dramatically because people finally began emotionally reconnecting. You were, first of all, talking with the persons that you're eating with. You also had the time now to ask about the food. Ask, how was this prepared? Share your example of the history of this meal in the past. How did you do? Huh? Stress levels dropped dramatically. People began emotionally reconnecting. I am a strong believer that the dining table is the family altar. And there are too many homes that don't have an altar. Too many homes, the dining table no longer exists. I know of many dining tables now a storage space, because each person get their meal. And I hate to say this, but there was a time I had a lot of dogs. And the way you feed your dogs in different places, different parts that they don't fight. In many household folks, true or false, people get them food, and then they one go sit in front of the TV, one go sit on the veranda, one go sit in their bedroom. No, no, no. We need to reconnect. Stress levels drop when you communicate, when you interact. Strategy 4: focus on what you can control. What are the things that you have control over? One, you can't control wars. So guess what? I know your problem that you can't do anything about that. So boom, I don't even want to read anything about them. That's me. You can't control global oil price. Huh? Nothing I can do. So I don't care whether the price go up, sideways, down, back, what? No. So I don't want to hear those stories at all. But you can control your discipline, how you discipline yourself. You can control your level of preparation for whatever it is you have to do. How prepared are you? You can control your attitude. You can control your health. What are you doing to enhance, to improve your health? You can control your spending habits. For me, once the price start to go up, I say, well, that's a cue for me to spend less on this item. If I used to buy 10, I now buy 5. If I used to buy 5, I now buy 3. If it's something I used to buy 2, I now buy 1. If it's something I used to do weekly, maybe it should be monthly. You can control your emotional response. Anything that is bringing out the worst in you, you don't need that thing around you. You separate yourself. Focus on what you can control. What does that mean? Inner control reduces outer panic. The thing you do on the inside, the thing you do to yourself reduces the outer panic. So those are the things, folks. Those are the kind of things that we talk ourselves into a tizzy, implying that everything crash, everything is tumbling down, not recognizing that it is necessary at times for you to step back and look at the things that you have control over. You can do something about, and you start to do that because we have to. Because if we don't, we lose track, we lose the connection. It is absolutely important that this be the case, because if we don't, you are in trouble. And at times the things are simple. And if you go along with the tide, you go along with because everyone else is thinking and feeling the same way. No. You know what they say about only dead fish go with the tide. Only dead fish go with the tide. So there are times you have to step back and see what you can do differently. Is this taking you in the direction of your vision, of your dreams, of what you want to? I also suggest that at this point in your life, you have to start, how much less can you do? There comes a point in life when you realize that forcing things is the very way of blocking them. Yes, you were encouraged to push and to hustle and to grind as if it's pressure that life responds to. But that's not necessarily true. You start to look around at nature and you see how nature does not rush. Nature does not strain and things get done. The tree doesn't fight to grow. The river doesn't struggle to flow, and still they fulfill their purpose. So you understand that as you begin to ask yourself these different questions, is effort overrated? Why are you sweating yourself? Why are you panicking about these things? You start to look around and you start to see that maybe I can find a way to step back, do less. Maybe we don't need all that we think we need. The tree doesn't fight to grow. What if life works better when you stop pushing it? You've heard about the 80-20 rule? It says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. But most people spend their life focusing on the wrong 80%. Busy, 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 but not effective. Active, but not impactful. The real question is not what should I do, it is what actually matters. Hmm? So, me, I'm in a very interesting situation. There's a article I wrote recently about the book that says that we have 4,000 week of life roughly. Now, 4,000 week, that takes you up to age 80. So when you start looking at it like that, you ask yourself, why are you trying to do everything when you don't even have time to do what really matters? Busyness is not success, it is often avoidance. So that you have to find a way to start looking, is this worth your time? Is this how you get your day done? Because will this get you closer to your vision of the kind of person that you're trying to become? Because if not, it can be very disappointing in terms of how you do things. So you see, this is how we talk about the process. We recap. You want to keep your balance. You want to reduce the emotional flooding, the flooding that you can get from too much news being consumed, too much bad news, too much depressing things. You want to build daily stability rituals, stabilizing rituals, waking consistently, exercise, prayer or meditation, walking, and maintain a routine. You want to build an end of day routine to take you back down so you can get a good night's sleep because you can rejuvenate you. You want to strengthen the relationships around you, the people in your life, the first concentric circle, family, friends, associate. Now we have so many people that we can connect with. You see the same Zoom that for many people, we discovered during COVID. You can have Zoom parties too. You can arrange Zoom meeting, not just a business meeting, but to touch base with a friend that you haven't touched base with. Listen, let us link up, man. Let us have a talk. When it's good for you. Is Friday evening good? Strengthen your relationships. Hmm? We also said you focus on the things that you can control. There's so many things that you have no control over, but there are things that you can identify those, build on those. Very important. Hmm? So, fellow travelers, this hour we explore the emotional weight of uncertain times. And by the way, you see this thing called uncertainty? Uncertainty is the entrance way to magic. When you don't know, anything you know for sure has happened already. Anything you don't know has not happened yet. But guess what? Positive things can happen. And it is important that you maintain hope. You maintain hope. It is that you can live for sometimes weeks without food. You can live for a couple of days without water. Some people can live up to 15, 20 minutes without air. But you can't live for 1 second without hope. So remember this, human beings have survived difficult periods before. We've been through difficult periods before. Haven't you? Wars came and wars passed and life continued. Recessions came, recessions passed, and life continued. Recently, pandemics came, pandemics passed. Some did not make it, but you did. Storms came, storms passed. You're still here. What does that mean? Many people discovered during these periods that they were far stronger than they imagined. You are stronger than you imagine. Do not allow uncertainty to destroy your humanity. Protect your peace, protect your health, protect your relationship, protect your hope, because balance is not the absence of pressure. Balance is the ability to remain centered while pressure still exists. And perhaps the greatest form of resistance during uncertain times is to refuse to becoming emotionally broken by them. I'm Dr. Leahcim Semaj, reminding you that even in uncertain times, the best is yet to come. Even in times of uncertainty, the best is yet to come. So, till we meet again, as we say in Jamaica, walk good and may good duppy follow you. Walk good.